Hey y'all, it's the Let's Talk Civilly podcast.
I'm Cleveland Horton, your host.
And I'm Gabby Cortez.
Hey, don't forget about me, it's Marquita Surratt.
And together we're your hosts for Let's Talk Civilly podcast.
Like MLK says, the time is always right to do what is right. This is our Let's Talk Civilly podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Civilly podcast. We are so happy that you joined us today. Of course, I am Cleveland Horton, the Executive Director of the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, and I will let my illustrious, wonderful co-host introduce themselves. I'll pass it over to Marquita.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Y'all already know. I'm Marquita Surratt, one of the Education and Outreach Associates here at the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. Y'all like that new intro video we got?
Moving up in the world here.
We're trying.
Hey, everyone. It's Gabby, Gabby Cortez, Education and Outreach Specialist, back again with another episode with you guys. Really excited for this episode. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to my other colleagues.
All right, so now we've got the formalities out of the way. What are we talking about today, ladies?
Alrighty, so today's episode, we are talking about the new fiscal year. Well, the old fiscal year. For those that don't know, our fiscal year runs from July 1st all the way to June 30th. Right? Yeah. Okay. So our fiscal year 2026 just ended. So we are starting a new fiscal year 2027. So this episode, we thought to kind of just give you guys updates about what MCCR has done in the last year, and just, shine some light on our agency, because we've had so many achievements, so many new things, so many new people coming in. So we just wanted to give the viewers a little bit of an inside look on what we've been doing for the last year. So.
Yeah. I'm one of those new people.
Yeah, you sure are.
Cleveland was just saying that I still have to earn my keep, y'all.
He did.
He sure did.
The verdict is still out.
The verdict is still out.
Yeah.
Well, Cleveland, since I still have to earn my keep, I don't think I should be the one to talk about all of our new employees and the growth that MCCR has been seeing over the last year. So, can you take that over?
Sure. Well, I think, we've benefited from the Miller administration's true support of our agency and civil rights as a whole. We've increased our staffing levels by about 30%, and that's across the board. So we've gone from having 2 attorneys now to 5, right? Mm-hmm. So giving us the ability to be able to litigate cases in a much more timely fashion, giving us the ability to be a little bit more aggressive, and just bring in more talent, right? So I know that our viewers will have the opportunity to hear from one of our star-powered attorneys a little later on in the podcast, but we are truly excited about the expansion that our legal team has been able to have due to the increase in staffing. We've also, as you indicated, Marquita, right, we've expanded our E&R, Education and Outreach Department. We've doubled in size from 3 to 6, which is going to give us an opportunity to truly expand our education and outreach services throughout the state. It's very difficult to service an entire state with just 3 people.
It is.
Right. So
yeah,
it's
true.
Still even, I wouldn't say difficult. It's just, it's a challenge, even with 6 people, but.
Yeah, so
we're able to reach so much more now.
Absolutely. So I think, a lot of times when people think about the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights and us being out in the community, us being a focal point of the community, you need resources to be able to do that. So we were excited about being able to allocate some of those additional resources to our Education and Outreach Department. As always, what we call our bread and butter, right? Our intake and investigations units. We were able to expand those as well. So it's given us the opportunity to address the significant backlog that we've had over the last few years. We started probably at about almost 700 cases in our backlog status. We've been able to reduce that down now to a little less than 200. And that's significant. So when people have issues, they want to come to our agency and expect to get a reasonable response within a reasonable time frame. It's very difficult to do with the lack of resources. So with these additional resources, what folks will begin to see is a much faster time frame for us to respond to complaints of discrimination, and faster timelines in terms of from the time you contact us with an issue to the time we're able to issue a written determination. Those timelines will get shorter and shorter. based off of the additional resources that we have. We've also, I know we'll talk about it a little later as well in more detail, but we've kind of reconstituted our alternative dispute resolution unit, giving us additional options to be able to resolve complaints of discrimination. So just across the board, when we think about the fact that the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights hasn't seen this level of investment in our agency, and I've been with the agency going on 20 years, so I haven't seen it in my time frame with the agency. So I'll say this is the first time in a very long time that we've seen this level of investment into our agency, and the public is going to benefit as a result of that. So we're looking forward to everything that we'll do, from legal, from E&O, from an intake, from an investigative standpoint, to better serve the citizens of our great state.
Can you touch on the HUD numbers too?
Yeah, so we're always trying to. Every year we talk about how we can be better than we were the year before. This year, our housing unit was fundamental in achieving a level of production from a housing case standpoint that we hadn't seen in over 15 or 20 years as well. So
Wow, that's amazing.
what that means for the agency is an increased amount of federal funds coming to the agency because of our partnership with HUD. And for those who don't know, HUD stands for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We do have a work sharing agreement with them that allows us to investigate cases and be reimbursed through our federal fund allotment. So the more cases we do, the more federal funds that we're able to do, the more staff that we can support, the more training that we can send our staff to continue to evolve and be better investigators and intake officers and legal professionals. So we are happy that our housing unit, even with some of the changes, right? Because as you change and as you grow, when people think about it, it's always a great thing, but it's also a challenging thing, right? So when you have a team and you're kind of interjecting more folks into that team, then you got to kind of get accustomed to personalities, flow, processes. But we've been able to do that in a great way. And our housing team, I think, exemplifies how even in the middle of challenge, we still rise to the occasion. So shout out to our housing folks.
Yep, shout out to the
Shout out
housing
to
units.
our housing folks. Yep.
Yes. Well, Marquita, I know you had mentioned a little bit about E&O and the growth of E&O. Did you want to talk about that a little bit more and what kind of challenges we've been actually facing still, or difficulties?
More so of the growth. I want to piggyback off of just kind of what Cleveland was just talking about with when you have new people coming into the team and, intertwining and getting them onboarded. I know with our increase in numbers with E&O, Gabby, like you've been very hands-on with our internal training and making sure that folks are understanding not only, how to investigate, but what they're investigating, what those laws look like, how we're, seeing these cases, but dissecting them and really looking for what they need to pay attention to. So I know with our growth in, like that was an amazing asset.
Shout out to Gabby.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gabby, man.
I just love talking to the people, that's all I can say. Every time we get a new person, I'm like, fresh meat. Like I'm so excited. I get so excited about onboarding, but yeah, thanks.
You do. I love it. I love seeing your excitement because even with your excitement, I was just saying this to our director, Candace, the other day. Gabby is able to coach people, but she's also extremely coachable as well. And one thing that I've been very appreciative of
Going a little far now. I don't know. Going a little far now.
I knew he was going to say something.
No, right? She has. I mean, I just started in December. Wow, I forgot when I started. In December, and there was so much for me to learn when it comes to laws and when it comes to civil rights laws, because I come from the DEI background, specifically in higher education. But I have the plethora of like professional experience. So bouncing that off with Gabby, like being able to coach her, but yet she's coaching me.
Yeah.
I just love working with her.
Iron sharpens iron.
It does.
Yes, that's
wow. We need to document that.
Well, this
Cleveland just called us both iron.
This is recorded, so you can always rewind and play.
I'm gonna
back
set it as your
anytime
ringtone,
that you
actually.
like.
So whenever I call iron sharpens iron, boom, just and then add a Baltimore Club mix at the back.
But let's also be clear, there are different levels to iron. But let's go. Let's keep going.
Okay. Anyways.
We was just talking about you being more kind, sir. Okay.
Anyways, well, back to the whole E&O thing.
Yes. I also want to touch on Cleveland mentioned just our outreach, like the different counties in the entire state that we're able to reach now. We have or are launching our why am I blanking on the name, Gabby?
Regional outreach?
Yes, our Regional Outreach Advisory Council, which I think is going to be extremely beneficial because,
Yes.
like we said, going from 3 to 6 is an amazing accomplishment, but still 6 people serving the entire state
of
when it
Maryland.
comes to
Mm-hmm.
education and outreach still can have its difficulties. So being
sure.
able to have that council that is going to be notifying us of the challenges that they're seeing in their regions, we're able to dissect that, take that back to what we do on an everyday and say like, okay, maybe they don't need this training in this
Right.
region, but they need more of this. So let's focus that there instead of just assuming what we think each of these counties may need. So I'm just really excited to see in this next fiscal year the launch of that and seeing what we can accomplish with the data that we pull. Because everyone knows I'm a data.
Yes.
Data.
Yes, that is your thing. Yes, data. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Because
think
it just doesn't make sense.
And that's going to be important too. I think part of what we've always talked about, like moving forward, is how do we ensure that our actions are based off of what the community needs and not what we think they need. So
That's true.
having these regional advisory councils, to your point, Marquita, will give us the opportunity to hear directly from these communities and respond directly to the needs of those communities. So I am looking forward to all of the new and expanded initiatives that our education outreach team will do
Yeah.
with, as Gabby said earlier, with this fresh new meat that we have here.
Well, let me real quick put a plug in on that one. You can go on our website, and we do have a little bit of information on our Regional Outreach Council as well. Please feel free to email us. You can also email the outreach team directly if you have any questions about the Regional Outreach Council. If you think you know somebody or an agency that might benefit, please, just reach out to us and we can definitely discuss that. We are definitely looking to expand as much as possible throughout the state of Maryland. So please feel free to, give us a shout out and come talk to us about that.
Yeah. Also, we want to see your engagement too in the comments. So
Yes.
if you are just thinking like, oh, I would love to see this in my community with what y'all do, or even ideas for our podcast, we'd love to hear it in the comments. So feel free to take that time right now to go comment what you would like to hear from us.
Yeah, comment, like, subscribe.
But yeah, so our employees aren't the only thing that is increasing at the agency, right? We've seen in this last year, or the data has shown that our complainant numbers have grown, or I would even dare to say, I think doubled, right, Gabby?
Yes.
So tell the viewers a little bit about,
Sure.
the data
So
behind it.
Cleveland has said it a few times, actually, that in both Trump administrations, our intake numbers have doubled each time. And coming from the intake department, I have seen that as well, even going from intake to education and outreach. So I know it is the Trump administration that's played a part. However, I also am like, definitely education and outreach. Shout out to our director when she was just a 3-person team. Like the amount of work that they were doing was just phenomenal. So I saw those numbers already increasing when I was still down with intake. And then now just keeping a relationship with intake, I'm seeing like crazy numbers now. So I believe we were getting about a little bit like around like 100 intakes, I'd say, average about a month when I was down there in 2023. And then as time progressed, we were starting to get to like 100, 150, like definitely over 100 complaints a month. And now it's getting close to about 300 complaints on a monthly average as well. So definitely with our outreach efforts, Trump administration, I'm sure, plays a huge part in that, especially with, all the things that are going on with EEOC and HUD. We have definitely seen a huge uptake in intake numbers. Yeah. That's what I have to say.
I want
Quick
to give a
question
shout out to the folks who are exercising their rights.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about the data, and we know that we are seeing, as Gabby articulated, we saw a significant increase through the Trump administration the first time around, and now we're seeing another doubling of our intakes through the Trump administration 2.0. But what I am optimistic about is that folks are utilizing their rights at a very high level. Although we still aren't getting the number of complaints that we know exist, when we see numbers, you can look at it a number of different ways.
Yeah.
We can say that there's more discrimination happening, which it is, but we can also say we have more folks who are willing to stand up, use their voice, file complaints, and say, no, you can't do that. And so for me, that's worthy of being commended, because filing a complaint of discrimination is not easy. Filing a complaint of discrimination, we know at times can come with potential retaliation. For those individuals who have decided that regardless of that, I am going to raise my hand, I am going to stand up and use my voice and speak out against what I believe is a violation, I just want to take a moment to commend them and tell them thank you. Because the only way that change happens is when people stand up and recognize, acknowledge, and call out violations of law. So I do want to make sure that folks know we appreciate folks filing complaints as much as it may cause more work for us. I just want to show a level of appreciation for those folks who are willing to stand in the gap, especially in a moment like this where every time you turn on the TV, there's another story. Many of us see it in our workplaces, our churches, public places, that we see this divisive nature that's happening within our communities. It's important to know that there are people who are willing to say, not on my watch. And so I just want to give them a shout out for being brave enough to stand up.
I got a question, Cleveland, actually. And I know we've discussed it a few times, but I know with like this Trump administration, clearly because I'm here with MCCR, I see the things that are going on because of his, administration. But from the first time, do you remember like what some of the things were? Were there any like crazy changes with you guys when his first administration? Do you remember?
No, it wasn't for us. When I think about what the Trump administration has done to agencies like ours, obviously we've all seen all of the executive orders coming from the federal administration.
Right.
But that hasn't changed state law.
Right.
So just like through the first Trump administration, we continue to enforce the law the same way we did before Donald Trump. The same thing we're doing with Trump administration 2.0. And we're telling folks that regardless of these executive orders, our law isn't changing.
Right.
Our mission, our vision is still the same as it was before him, and it will be long after him. But what you see, I think the biggest impact is, and I tell folks this in a way that says, Trump didn't create this environment.
Right.
What the Trump administration has done is highlighted this environment and has made it okay for folks to feel like you can now publicly take off your hood, treat people and talk to people however you want to. He is giving you permission to do so. So as much as we put a lot of blame at the feet of the Trump administration, it's also important for folks to understand that he didn't create this environment.
Right.
This environment was created long before Trump. Trump just gave folks the green light in his administration to treat people a certain way, whether it's the ICE raids, whether it's the insurrectionist, right? Whether it's all the things that we see that ordinarily we would say, these are things that you can't do. This administration is giving folks a green light to do. So when we think about as an agency, our impact is truly being able to say, hey, we know what's happening, we see it, but we've got to be just as aggressive to let folks know that we're still here. Because if not, the noise will drown us out. Folks will feel like there's no hope. There's no recourse, right? There's no way for us to file a complaint, because if we file a complaint, then we're going to be deported with no recourse, right? It's amazing to see how people can be picked up on the street and sent to another country with no recourse.
Sometimes not even their own country.
Not in their own country, right? So it's just important for us as we think about kind of where we are as an agency and in this moment, how are we standing up? What's the impact for us? Because the impact to us, it's even greater for individuals within our communities, right? So it's just important for us to show up as aggressive as the attacks are on, whether it's DEI, whether it's civil rights, whether it's the voting rights. It's just important for us to show up in the same way with a level of positivity to make folks know, to ensure that folks know that we are still here.
I feel like that kind of goes into when we look at people stepping up and filing their complaints and having that courage to do so. We're also now seeing a lot of our complainants wanting mediation rather than a drawn out long investigation process, right? And I think that's thanks to our ADR unit, which stands for the people that don't know, alternative dispute resolution. So as long as both parties are willing and want to go through mediation, that process will begin. And we actually have in-house, we have a few mediators, but also I think going back to kind of our regional advisory council,
Right.
we also have volunteers outside of the agency that also mediate. So
Yes.
we're able to reach a broader audience. We're able to reach higher numbers with the help of our outside volunteers. And when I was talking to Tish yesterday about it, I was like, yeah, we want to shout y'all out for all the work that you guys are doing. And you just like see her face glow up, and that to me,
that's ADR is her. Yeah.
yeah, but that to me just shows like we have the right people doing the work.
Yeah, that's true.
And Cleveland talks about this quite often, us being more mission driven than we are anything else. Like you have to be in this line of work. But talking to her and just seeing her face, I was like, you are exactly where you're meant to be. And the people, like you're impacting so many people,
Right.
and that means so much. But yeah, she was just really excited to share with me like the numbers. They did close 54 cases within this last fiscal year, and many more to come in the next fiscal year. So I'm just really excited to see what that unit is gonna bring to the agency and all the mediations that are gonna take place.
Yeah, and I think it's important too when we think about the number, because one of the things I don't want our viewers to do is hear the number 54 and feel like that's a low number. So it's not a lot. But I think you got to understand the data behind the number.
Yeah.
You know, these are 54 cases where the complainants and the respondents were able to reach an amicable resolution and resolve it. I tell people all the time that our agency is poised to issue written determinations all day long. That's easy for us. The hard work is getting parties who are on opposite ends to agree to something in the middle to resolve the complaint amicably. That's the work, and that's the difficult part of what we do. So the fact that we've been able to reconstitute this ADR unit, and they've been able to, in its infancy, resolve 54 complaints for about $300,000 in monetary benefits is a significant amount.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity that we've taken, the conversations that we've had to have with both parties to be able to resolve these complaints, which is important, because for me, I tell everybody that's the work. Again, writing a written finding and saying whether somebody did or did not discriminate against someone, to me, is the easy work. Engaging people in their differences.
It's not that easy though, y'all. It's not that.
Engaging people in their differences is significant. And that's, for me, that's where you see the change happening within our communities. That's where you see folks being willing to listen to other perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's where the production of new policies, revised policies, modified policies come into play, when you're able to get people to see through their own lens someone else's perspective. And for me, that's the powerful work of our alternative dispute resolution team.
That's me every day.
Right. I do also want to know that if you do decide to go through mediation, and Tish was, very clear about this, even if it fails to go through mediation, don't think that the case is being dropped completely by our agency. It's just going to go back into our investigation queue. So it will be investigated on. So don't think that if you go through the process and the mediation fails, that your entire case is just done with. No. Back to being mission driven. We care about you.
And I think too, we've got to highlight, because I know I don't want Tish walking around to my office on Monday because we didn't mention it, but ADR played a critical part in us being able to reduce our backlog.
Yes.
Because they were able to take a number of those cases that we had sitting in backlog status and be able to resolve those cases and move them forward. So I definitely want to give, Tish and her crew a shout out in reference to all of the hard work that they've done to assist us in reducing our backlog too.
Yeah, shout out to
ADR.
I was gonna say shout out to Maria and Tish. Y'all are doing it.
Well, another major move that our agency has done is a partnership and memorandum of understanding with the Maryland Real Estate Commission. Cleveland, how does joining forces with them help us stop fair housing violations before they even happen? And can you also speak to that partnership as well?
No, that's a good question, but I guess when we think about fair housing is truly the responsibility of all of us. So part of my approach, and from a leadership standpoint, has really been how do we create more collaborations with those who are impactful in this fair housing space. To me, there are none other than the Maryland Real Estate Commissions, the local real estate commissions. So we've really been aggressive in terms of how do we engage these agencies and these commissions in conversations to figure out where are our areas of synergy and how can we collaborate better. We are one of a very few civil rights enforcement agencies that have engaged in this level of conversation. If you all recall, 2 years ago, we signed a MOU with the Maryland Real Estate Appraisals Commission. There are only 3 other states that have done that. And we are, I believe, at this point, the only one that's engaged in a level of conversation with the actual real estate commission and the local realtor associations to sign these MOUs. And what these MOUs do is give us an opportunity to figure out how collectively together we partner better, whether it's education and outreach, whether it's training, whether it's enforcement. What can we do to ensure that we're all protecting fair housing? We've talked about on previous podcasts, and I always say that the Fair Housing Act is only words on a piece of paper. If there is no accountability, it only remains words on a piece of paper. It is important for us to figure out how do we go from being seen as adversaries to being seen as partners. So that's really what these MOUs are all about, is how do we come together to figure out how do we make sure as an enforcement agency that we are training the realtors and the lenders and the home inspectors about fair housing to ensure that every transaction is free from any fair housing violation. And that is a significant priority of the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. We've had great partners with the Maryland Real Estate Commission. We've had great partners with organizations like Maryland Realtors, who has also signed an MOU with our agency. We've had great partners at Greater Baltimore Board of Realtors, the Howard County Association of Realtors, and a number of other local realtor associations that have partnered with us so that we all are saying fair housing for all means fair housing for all. And we are going to do our part to ensure that. So as the enforcement agency, sometimes folks feel like the enforcement aspect is just our responsibility. But I always say that fair housing enforcement starts with the professionals. And if you aren't partnering with the professionals, you're missing an opportunity to get to the root cause of some of these fair housing issues. So we are looking forward to what these partnerships will bring to our state and what it will mean for us from a fair housing lens in our state. But I think it's going to be very powerful.
It goes back to, I used to always tell my students that you want to be proactive over reactive. And I think a lot of times people see our agency and think that we're more on that reactive side because we're just waiting for complaints to come in and then to investigate. But they don't really get to hear and see this part of us being proactive and actually trying to minimize complaints from happening, right? Like we all want a world where there's no discrimination, and that's our vision, is for an equal lived reality for all. I think that was our vision last year, actually.
No, it's
this year? Okay.
For Marylanders.
Yeah, for Marylanders. But yeah, so I think a lot of times people don't hear where we're being proactive at and trying to minimize what we're seeing in the world. But it's really good to know that we are partnering with the people and we are trying to educate and do our trainings and get outreach out there to all.
That was such a good point, honestly.
But the proactive piece is the hard piece. And I say it's the hard piece because when you think about budgets and dollars, typically the budget and dollars are in response to the reactive piece, the number of complaints, how long it takes us to file complaints. The more proactive piece, which you all serve under education and outreach, is sometimes hard for folks to understand the quantifiable measures of those actions. I always say, though, for me, the proactive piece is the most important piece. And I know that challenges some of the historical perspectives because people see a civil rights enforcement agency as an agency that's supposed to be reactive. Your core mission is to respond to complaints of discrimination. When in fact, I believe that our core mission should be to educate the public. Because if you're only responding to complaints of discrimination, for me, one of the things that you can be sure of is that you're only sustaining the current environment. You're not changing anything.
Right.
Within a proactive environment, what you're saying is that you're going to put more emphasis on educating and training the public so that they're aware of their rights more. So you're actually changing the environment. You're impacting the reactive environment by ensuring that, one, either your complaints are going to go up because more people are aware of their rights and more people are filing complaints, but at the same time, you'll be able to reduce complaints because you are educating and training folks. So for me, the proactive piece, we all have to figure out how to be more proactive, how to allot more of our fiscal dollars to the proactive arm. Because if we don't, we'll keep bumping up against the same thing at some point where it's like, why aren't things changing? Why are policies remaining the same? But it's because we haven't put enough emphasis on the proactive piece to aggressively change our environments.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that was great. Well, we've talked a lot about staffing numbers, metrics, and policy shifts, but behind every single complaint or data point is a real person and a real community impact. So here today, we are joined by our Assistant General Counsel, Towanda Chambers. She is going to give us some perspective and give us bringing life to one of our biggest cases, our biggest wins of this fiscal year, the Taylor Gibson versus Swann case. So I'm going to allow her to come into the studio and talk to the viewers.
Big T. What up, Big T?
It was amazing to sit here and listen to your thoughts on really what makes the difference in this climate and in our work, and that's the individuals who are brave. They're brave enough to stand up for their rights. And I was thinking about Ms. Gibson the entire time because she exemplifies that person. In 2020, June 2020, we all know what was happening in June 2020 when we were and it was a height of COVID, right? Ms. Gibson, single mom, needed to find a place to live. She needed to find suitable housing for her family. She found a place in Cambridge, Maryland, and did what she was supposed to do in terms of completing the application. She is an individual living with a disability in Maryland, so she indicated that she needed a reasonable accommodation in this housing application. The landlord told her application was good to go, gave her the prorated amount for rent, security deposit. Ms. Gibson showed up, paid that amount, received a receipt, and started moving her belongings in, which consisted really of 3 contractor bags, honestly, and her emotional or assistance animals to treat her disability-related symptoms. So as she was moving in her bags, the landlord sees the assistance animals, which are American bullies, but they resemble pit bulls, and told her she had to leave. She had to go. They could not stay because she had that breed.
Right.
Miss Gibson tried to plead with this landlord that, hey, I indicated on the application I needed this reasonable accommodation, and I have a doctor who says, who can tell you exactly what each animal does for me.
Right.
He would not hear any of it. He said his insurance company would not allow it. There was a breed restriction in the homeowner's insurance policy that said you cannot have these breeds, no exception. Now, we do know the Maryland Fair Housing Act requires an exception to be made when someone requires a reasonable accommodation
Right.
to treat a disability-related symptom.
Right.
She had to leave. Miss Gibson moved into a hotel. I mentioned she was a single mom. She had, I would say her son was a tween at the time, anywhere about 11 or 12, had to move in with relatives. Now, here's Miss Gibson. She has 3 assistance animals. She is with child. She's pregnant.
She was pregnant as well.
She was pregnant as well. And she lived in this hotel for almost a year until she found housing. So what she decided to do was file a complaint with HUD. Good for Miss Gibson. Thank you for the Miss Gibsons of the world, of the community. She's living in a hotel. She's with child, and she musters up the energy to file a complaint with HUD. And due to our work sharing agreement, HUD transferred the complaint over to the commission to start the investigation. The investigation found probable cause to believe that not only the housing providers, but the insurance company violated the Maryland Fair Housing Act by refusing to provide a reasonable accommodation.
Right.
So this investigation went on for years. Neither the housing providers or the insurance company would come to a resolution. Miss Gibson hung in there.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to tell you, she gave birth while living in the hotel.
Oh, wow.
She gave birth while living
And now
in the hotel.
she has a newborn baby in this hotel.
She has a newborn baby in this hotel room. And it's interesting, when she and I were talking about any potential witnesses, she said, well, the hotel manager saw me every day as my belly grew, and he saw my assistance animals, and he would be a great witness. I mean, think about that for a minute, because remember, we're in COVID, so everyone is isolated.
Right.
So this is her surrounding. You know, so both the insurance company and the housing provider decided to litigate this case in circuit court. They felt that strongly that they didn't have any duty to Ms. Gibson or any other similarly situated individual who needed an accommodation of a certain breed of dogs. This was a challenging case because it was a landmark case. It was a first impression for Maryland courts. We had not taken an insurance company. We had not sued an insurance company for a violation of the Maryland Fair Housing Act in this sense.
Oh, wow.
So I just commend Ms. Gibson for her resilience. The litigation process was not easy for her. It took almost a year before we were able to come to any sort of settlement, but she was committed. Each time they would decline to settle, she said, "Okay, so we're going to court."
Hey, Miss Gibson.
Right.
Miss Gibson. She was standing 10 toes down.
10 toes down, 10 toes down. But we appreciate Miss Gibson for what she did. Had it not been for her will and determination, we would not have been able to present this type of issue to the court.
That was 6 years, right?
Yeah, total.
Yeah, I do want to, I think, I talked about it earlier around commending folks who stand up, speak out. So I also want to echo your sentiments and just show our appreciation for Ms. Gibson.
Yeah.
But I really do want to show my appreciation for Towanda for just how you handled this case, right? So, I think that that the importance of having parties, obviously to file complaints is important, but having legal professionals who are willing to continue to move forward regardless of what respondents say, and to make sure that we bring issues to justice is equally as important. So I want to give you a shout out, Towanda, in reference to the great work that you did for this case.
Well, thank you, Cleveland. Now, I have to mention, I could not have done it without Cleveland, because there was a point in this case that we needed an expert. And experts, what? They're expensive. So I needed Cleveland's support in that. And, he
Anything
said,
to do with
what?
the budget.
Yeah.
Cleveland support.
Yeah, so he supported me engaging an expert in this matter, which helped tremendously, because the expert was able to communicate with the court how essential this law is, how it applies to insurance companies. So I thank you, Cleveland,
Thank
for
you.
your support.
Thank you.
And I think there's a mini shout out too for the investigator
Yeah, I
who
was
also
gonna-
handled the case,
Yeah.
Tariq Donaldson. So shout out to Tariq for
Shout out
getting
to
all that evidence too,
Yeah.
to be able to get this case to legal.
And Tariq was on it for all of 6 years, right? Wow.
What do you think, Towanda, from your perspective, as you think about the Gibson case, the impact of the Gibson case, not just on Ms. Gibson, but just the community at large? What do you see as the biggest impact of this victory?
I see it as a better understanding of our statute, because our statute is remedial in nature, meaning that it's to fix things. So when you see a respondent who is not a typical respondent, you don't shy away from it. You say, well, wait a minute. Did this respondent make housing unavailable? Even though they're far removed from Miss Gibson in terms of direct interaction, did they make housing unavailable? So I think that this particular case brought in our view of our statute. You know, it's you just never know what entity can be a violation, what contract, with what agreement. It makes you look a little deeper into the facts.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think too, and I'm sure you would agree, Towanda, that this has also highlighted the insurance carriers, where there are many respondents who will hide behind the fact that they have these provisions in their riders that their insurance companies say you can't do this or you can't do that. And they hide behind these provisions as justification for what we would consider to be a violation of fair housing. So I think this case also highlighted how, regardless of what your insurance carrier and the provisions that you have in your riders, if you violate someone's fair housing rights, we are still going to hold you liable for that and tack on your insurance carrier too. So great job, Towanda. Great job.
Thank you.
Oh, well, shout out to, I feel like the entire team, right? For how meticulous you were, Towanda. Your empathy just shows just throughout this, like when you were telling the story behind the case. So thank you for caring for Miss Gibson. Shout out to Miss Gibson if you're watching. We appreciate all the Miss Gibsons out there, right? Like your strength and your will and your grit to continue to fight for what you know and believe is your rights to do so. Cleveland for monetary approval of the budget for this expert, right? Shout out to you. Shout out to Tariq for, being an investigator on a case for 6 years. I can only imagine the grit that you had to have in order to stay consistent with a case like that and continuously to come back. So yeah, just shout out to the entire team. Y'all are amazing. And we thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and breathing life into that story. I think it's very important for our listeners to not only see Gibson v. Swann and the monetary value and the case closure, but actually hear everything that went into it and the story behind it. It speaks volumes. So thank you so much, Towanda.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Towanda.
Ms. Towanda.
And we know there are a lot of other Miss Gibsons that we have currently in our caseload. So we're going to allow Towanda to get back to work. We do appreciate the time that she's taken to really be a part of this podcast and to, again, shed light on the Gibson story, right? Because we know that behind every complaint that we receive, there's a story. And many of these stories go untold. So we are very thankful that Towanda was willing to come on to the podcast and just talk about Miss Gibson's story and the great work that the commission was able to do in receiving justice for Miss Gibson. So thanks, Towanda. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Clap, 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 clap. Y'all, 6 years. I feel like that just, validates what we talk about consistently on the podcast of civil rights and fighting for civil rights isn't a sprint, right?
Yeah.
It's truly a marathon. But with that, we know with a marathon, we have to continue to pass that torch. And I know Cleveland talks about that quite often of passing down the knowledge and the education to the next generation and passing on that torch. But we're now seeing this multi-generational challenge, I should say. And Gabby, as someone that now assists and helps oversee our marketing and our social media, what do you feel as though has been the biggest challenge when it comes to the multi-generational reach that we're trying to do?
Yes. Well, first of all, shout out to all the Gen Zers out there. Shout out to all the Gen Zers out
I'm a
there in the
millennial.
workforce. Yeah. So I am Gen Z. But
Three. I didn't realize that we had 3 generations on here.
3 generations in here. Yeah. Millennial, Gen Z,
Gen X.
Gen X.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, but it's so funny because sometimes I'm like, I do like identify with millennials too. I'm like right on the cusp.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, 97. So, but yes, it's so fun, honestly. I think it's just so fun, kind of just seeing like the difference in generations at work and how it kind of comes to play. I remember one time, I must have been a conversation with Cleveland, like for hours. And I went home and I literally looked on Amazon and I was like, how to talk to Jen. Like, I was like, are we not, like, how are we not connecting here? So I've definitely had a lot of fun and a lot of challenges as well. But yes, so what Marquita was talking about with our social media. Some of you may have seen me on our Instagram and Facebook with a lot of like the funny reels and just trying to bring some awareness and some interaction to our agency. And funny enough, as you know, Cleveland's on most of my reels. And honestly, the conversations that we have like about those reels, we talk about it all the time. Or I'll talk to Cleveland and we'll bounce off ideas. And Cleveland is just a great person of rhetoric. I always say that all the time. I'm like, he can talk. It's great. He's an amazing speaker. But sometimes I'm like, okay, Cleveland, get to the point. Like, you lost me. I'm like, oh my goodness. I think because unfortunately, like my generation is just so like, okay.
Microwavable.
Yes. Like that's what Cleveland says all the time. Yeah. Which is, yeah, like I'm literally like, okay, like hurry up. But I mean, at the same time though, I also do, I'm trying, let me say, to be a little bit more respectful also, and not trying to just be like, okay, I don't care about the fluff. Because it does matter. But sometimes there's also that part of me where I'm like, can you hurry up and get to the point, please? And, me and Cleveland are always talking about just having how to get the message to all, especially like my generation, his generation, your generation is just so kind of cool. Like
We are.
Yeah, I was about to say, y'all just,
We're the best. We are the best
I
generation.
wouldn't say that, but that's.
Of course you wouldn't say that. You're not in the generation.
hater alert.
Right.
Well, I think to add what Gabby was saying is that it's just been difficult.
Yeah.
It's been difficult because, our workplace having, probably 4 or maybe even 5 generations in the same workplace. Each generation has different wants and different needs. And when you think about social media, to Gabby's point, there are some folks who want it to be more serious, some folks who want it to be more lighthearted, some folks who want it to be quick, some folks who want more information. And it's hard for us to really balance how do we give everybody a little bit of something?
Yeah.
Right? Because we'll hear the comments about some of the lighthearted reels, like, well, you're a civil rights agency. Why are you having these lighthearted social media posts?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Well,
are y'all actually working?
Yeah, are you working? Right? Not realizing that we spend plenty of nights in the office making the reels
Yep.
outside of work hours,
Yep.
right? Just to make sure we're still providing a high level of service to the state during the day.
Right.
But folks don't see that piece. Then we'll get the folks who we give serious information, where folks are like, well, why is it so serious, right? Everything is so serious.
Or I don't want to watch this.
Right,
This is boring.
we're in a dark time. Can't you bring some light to what's happening? So we really are trying to, and I think Gabby, with all of the creative ideas that she's had around improving our social media piece, has been instrumental. I think we've at least doubled our followers on social media, and a lot of that is due to the work that our E&O team is doing around social media and how we're approaching it. So it's working. It's just a matter of the hard part around, like, how do we balance it?
Yeah.
Because we and Gabby we throw ideas around. She'll tell me, I'll say something. She'll look at me like I got two heads. Like, that's not gonna work. Or vice versa, right? Because we do come from two different perspectives, and I think what we've been able to do truly, though, is show people how people from different generations can learn from each other.
Yes.
Right? Because I learned a lot from Gabby around how to address her generation.
Yeah.
She learns from me around how to address my generation. So when we think about how do we put this all together for public consumption, people get to see the final result, but they don't really get to see all of the debating, all of the conversations that go into, like, again, as an example, many folks have probably seen the reel that we did around the gala with me throwing a ball. I would never in a million years think about doing something like that in a professional environment, right? But it does force me to step outside of the box and think about, okay, well, how do we reach people? Because that's the important part. Regardless of my perspective, if we're doing something that reaches people, then it works. And some of the reels that we've had, the highest response rate, the highest share rate, have been those reels that have really nothing to do with civil rights. It's just us trying to connect with people. Because you can't give people information until you connect with them.
Yes.
So the goal has to be figuring out, how do we connect with people first and then give them the information that they need. And Gabby has been instrumental in helping us understand and do that.
Yeah.
Well, a little pause on that, because just, I'm going to give a little bit of a present, I guess you could say, to our podcast viewers. There is, more to it coming in social media. I know Cleve and I have talked about it a few times about, doing some lighthearted reels and some funny reels, but, we do actually have a plan to come out with more informational, videos and posts coming as well. So, you're going to see us cooking, like the recipe's there. We just really needed that engagement. And honestly, my generation, the ones who are on social media a lot, are like, just sometimes we scroll through the informational things. Because, if you don't catch me in the first 3 seconds, just, but, we do care. I know for me, I've had to, when I talk with Cleveland, and like, I'm taking back some of the feedback. Like, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm not taking this seriously, just because, I like to joke around a lot. But at the same time, it is just trying to get that viewership, because we are trying to reach as many people as we can. Like, we don't have, we want to make sure that all Marylanders are, know about us. So there is, more coming. So just letting the viewers who are on the podcast know, there's stuff brewing.
And I think we've got to give a special shout out to Empath Studios.
Oh,
and I'm not sure we've done that on our podcast yet. I mean, I was just sitting here thinking about it, because if it wasn't for Empath Studios, we would not have this podcast.
Yes.
We would not be kind of entering this lane where we're being able to reach more people, more viewers, different platforms. So huge shout out to Empath Studios, who is the kind of, I guess, the directors behind this podcast to make us look good, to make us seem like we actually know what we're doing. So shout out to Empath Studios.
Shout out to Leon as well. So yes. Well, Marquita, do you want to talk?
How are y'all going to skip over our guy Dexter?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's crazy. I mean, we love you, Leon. We do.
But yes, Dexter, shout out to Dexter.
The engineers are amazing here. I mean, Digital Empath Studios, not even just with engineering this video, this podcast episode, they're also engineering like all the clips that we're using on those social medias. So
I think that means, right?
Yeah.
If you need a podcast studio, contact Empath Studios.
Digital
Empath Studios. Plug them. So please, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, you don't have the equipment, you need somebody who's an expert, has the expertise in doing so, reach out to Digital Empath Studios. They've got everything you need to get you started.
Yes.
Yeah. So to like wrap us up, I have a question for y'all because I feel like you both were hitting at this, connecting with people in order to keep them engaged when we do start talking about the serious stuff.
Yep.
And we all know that we target our friends in our network first.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout this, this 6 months, 7 months of podcasting has been in our fiscal year 26. What have we been hearing from our friends in our network? And what is kind of something that we want to take from them and either address or shift for fiscal year 27 for our podcast episodes?
That's a good question. I think, I guess the things that come top of mind to me are, I guess trying to make sure our podcasts are more informative and at the same time done in a way that is attracting folks to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. I think, part of what I talk to Gabby about a lot is that we live in this microwave society, right, where people want to get in and get out quickly. So trying to talk about topics where people can get in and get out, also creating that balance for those individuals who are looking for more information, providing them a higher level of information in a way that allows folks to receive it. Right. So, Gabby tells me all the time, like, Cleveland, I don't like it when you just read a script. Right. I like it when you just talk instead of just sounding, rehearsed and
Yes.
polished and
Yes.
professional.
Yeah.
So true.
Just trying to
Unfiltered.
just
podcast.
trying to do things in a way that's going to allow a higher number of people to receive the message, because regardless of how polished the message is, if nobody is listening to the message, then what's the point?
Right.
So just trying to create a platform where folks can come and listen and enjoy the message, but also take something away from the message is going to be vitally important as we move forward. And even when we talk about the multi-generational conversations, I think we exemplify that in this podcast because we all come from different generations with different perspectives. So using this podcast to be a model of how we can engage, listen, and respond to each other within different generations, and using that, again, as a mechanism for other folks to watch and learn from, I think is going to be important as we move forward.
I would agree. I think one thing that I've been hearing a lot from my friends, and this isn't even feedback, this is just their perspective of our podcast. We all serve a role on the podcast, which I think is extremely important, and it goes back into our generations, right? Like the way that we were brought up, not just as children, but even in the workforce, right? We view things very differently. So when we're sitting here on the couch, and the way that we're presenting ourselves to our audience is also going to show up differently. And I just find it very unique when I talk to people, they have picked up on that as well. They've picked up on our quote unquote roles, whereas like we don't see it as that. Like we genuinely come together, we think through our themes, we think through our segments, we think, okay, like what is this month? What could be relatable? How can we also get information out? Maybe a guest would be best suited for that. But we're not thinking like, okay, Cleveland, you're this, Marquita, you're that, Gabby, you're that when it comes to the episode. So I do find that very interesting that that's how we're portrayed to the audience. But no, I was actually trying to think of feedback wise, and I don't really have much other than what you kind of said, Cleveland. I think we're all on the same page about that. How are we making this information digestible for people, but also a little fun? I know that's me and Gabby's big thing right now.
It
Like,
sure
we
is.
wanna be
It
fun.
definitely is. I want to be fun. We want to have fun.
Well, as far as feedback for me, my mom tells me I'm perfect and everything's great. So nothing,
That might
to
be-
report.
Now that might be the root cause of the problem. But go ahead.
That
You see
right
that?
there.
You see that mind? You see what I'm saying?
And that's her generation. They've been spoiled silver spoon by everyone.
Anyways, as I do so best, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here because we have had a really long conversation today. Very fun, though. I had a lot of fun. But on a serious note as well, for all of our viewers, if anyone or you know anyone who has been discriminated against, please contact our agency. You go on our website, mccr.maryland.gov. Right there is a complaint box. And you can also call our agency as well, 410-767-8600. So please reach out to us if you have, just need to talk to us about anything, felt as though you've been discriminated against in housing, employment, public accommodations, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, thank you so much for today. I'm going to also let my co-host say bye.
Adios.
See y'all later. Until next time.
Bye.